Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. If you've been around recently, you've heard me say this a dozen times, but it is spooky season. And every year I try and do 3 Halloween looks. The first one is always easy and something you can wear out for the day. The second one is something fun that you can wear to a Halloween party using just makeup. And the third one is something more in the SFX direction. And that is what we're going to do today. Now I put primer on all over my face, but I'm not gonna go in with foundation. That is because I'm going to do a zombie for today's look and I want to look a bit on the rougher side. So I'm not gonna go in, glam everything up just to try and wreck it all again. I am, however, going to do my eyebrows. I'm going to put on mascara and liner just to give it a bit of structure and to make it look a little bit more fun. You can also tell by what a mess all my brushes are that I've been doing Halloween looks because everything needs a wash. There's like black on everything. Which if you'd like to see me wash my brushes, I have done that in the past. I'll link that for you. But if you're in a situation like I am now where you want to use your brushes for different colors but they all have dark colors on them, I'll just take a makeup wipe and like rub it off on it until I can go and use it again. Usually at this point I do my brows dramatic and not care because I later go in with the rest of the makeup and then it'll look better. But because I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to brush through them a lot to diffuse the color so they don't look too hectic. Now while I do this mascara and eyeliner, let me tell you the story of the zombie so that you understand what we're going to put together. And also why we're doing a zombie in the first place. So initially I want to do like a zombie bite infection type of look, but everyone has done that. There are dozens of pictures of like a zombie bite here out there. And I wanted to do something a little bit more original than that. Plus I've done bruise related things 2 years in a row now. So I need to change it up a little bit to keep it interesting. So I thought, okay, let's do just a zombie, assuming the bite is somewhere else, but you can see the person's like decaying and scary and all that. But there's no SFX in that, so I was like, okay, well then I need to spice it up some other way. And also, this is like the best time to get mascara on your eye because I can just wipe it off now and I don't have to worry about any makeup coming off underneath. So instead, I'm going the diseased zombie route, where you can see all the signs of disease and death and decay. Plus then I also get to show you how to make fun textures with stuff you already have at home. Which sounds like a win-win to me, so that is what we're here to do today. And this all was inspired by an a cappella group I was a part of this year. I joined like at the last minute and we were all being the undead. And for this thing, they kind of just threw a bunch of stuff onto my face to make it really messy. And while that was a lot of fun, I was like, I want to do a zombie nice and proper. So here we are. Now I'm going to make myself look sick by number one, making it look like something's like here on the corners of my mouth. And I'm also going to make my eyes look like I've gone through a little bit, like I'm crying and stuff like that. Probably coughing up blood, anything like a little spattery just to make it look more gory, more fun. So let's start with this part so we can like blend it in with everything else. And for this, I'm going to use my lash glue. Lash glue is basically just liquid latex. And I know everyone always says you to buy liquid latex for Halloween and it's expensive and it's hard to get and all that. But I'm going to use this tiny little tube and that's going to be enough. I'm not even going to finish it. You're not actually going to use that much of it. Plus this one's already gross and old in anyways and it's starting to get lumpy, which is perfect for today. So I'm going to pick up some of this. I'm going to put it here on the corner of my mouth and just drag it on with this little sticky thingy. And I'm going to put it out about like that much. You don't have to put on that much. That's just so that you can see where I'm going with it. But yeah, really bleeding from the corner of the mouth. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to make it somewhat irregular. And then I'm also going to take some and I'm going to put it right here on the corner of my mouth. So that gets nice and sticky and gross. I'm going to give it a second to dry and then I'm going to add more here so it gets like a little bit stringy. But before these outsides dry, while it's tacky, I'm going to touch at it and kind of like rip it up, mess it up. It sticks really well to my nails and not my skin. So I'm going to use my nails actually. Just make it messy and then you can literally like rub at it. It's like wood glue, just to mess it up however you can. If you did let it dry too much, you could just go in with a little bit more and then mess with it again. You can also like fold your skin and then pull it apart like this. It also wrecks it a little bit. And look at how the corners of my mouth are getting like gross and sticky. That's what we want. What we're looking for here is texture. And you can go in and layer it a little bit if you'd like to make it patchier in some places than others. And also if you can get like a nice blob on there, that would also be really cool. It might not look like too much now. And yeah, I'm talking funny because it's like stuck here and I'm okay with that. And if it comes loose, it comes loose. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it might not look like much right now. But when you go over it, it's going to like catch all that pigment and look really funny. So all is going according to plan. Like I said, rubbing at it gets a really nice texture. If any blobs come off, just stick it back on. But that is how we're going to leave that for now. Now we're going to move on to the whole face. And that way this will be the same color as the rest of the face. Otherwise you like do all the color and you put this on top, which number one is going to pull all the color off. And number two is going to look patchy. So what are we doing? We are looking for ashy colors because we want to look all undead, a little less alive. So I'm going to go in with this really old palette of mine. It has a few ashy colors. And I'm going to use this flat yet fluffy brush, and I'm going to pick up this straight up silver and see what we get from that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this in under my eye. I'm going to accentuate everything I already have, and that includes the bag underneath my eyes. So I'm following the shape that already exists, and I'm also going to like hollow it out right here on the inside, and of course on the lower lash line. And the same on the other side. Actually, I'm gonna go in with this BH Cosmetics palette that has like a lot more pigment and stuff. Again, now I'm picking up like an ashy brown, dusting it off because you don't want too much. You want everything to like blend in. And I'm going to put it in the bag of my eye. So I'm going underneath my lash line and also the curve here. I'm not really coloring in the middle section. I'm then also going to pick up a bit of a purple and put it right here. Because you don't want to just look dirty, you do want to look like it's somewhat real. I'm also really smoking those colors out in my crease, getting it nice and dark. And I'm going to go with a fluffy blending brush to blend everything because we want this to kind of look like skin, not so much like makeup. I'm also going to pick up a flat shader brush and a dark red color. I'm going to put it like right underneath my lower lash line. This is to really bring the stick out. And then I'm gonna go over that with a bit of a brown to mute it. And I'm gonna blend over it with a touch of that purple. I'm also gonna add the purple to my lids because they look a little bit too bright now. And again, mix in a touch of that red just to make my eyes look like they were annoyed and inflamed. You can even add a bit of an ashy, muddy brown color. Just cool down the tone of that red a bit. I'm also going to make it a little bit uneven here, by the bridge of my nose. And as usual, blend everything out everywhere. I'm not specifically putting a dark color on my nose, but I'm going to just blend across just so it doesn't look too bright and contoured by what we are doing. But speaking of contour, I'm going to pick up a contour brush and that ashy color I've been using this whole time. And I'm going to contour in all the typical places to really hollow out my face. I'm also putting some on my forehead, but it's more to make me look like dirty than it is to contour my forehead. Don't forget those temples. They really give you that sunken in look. And then we blend everything. We're blending here on the cheeks, here on the temples to really blow it out, on the forehead. And you can even go in under your eyes to diffuse what you did here a bit more. And take a little bit of the gray that's left on this brush and just going around my nose, just because I want everything to have the same tone, you know? I want this all to be like dark and pale looking. I was gonna put a touch right underneath my mouth. But before I fully move on to the mouth, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of black and I'm going to like darken this inner corner. This really looks sunken in. But before I move on to the mouth, I'm going to darken this inner corner and really make it look sunken in. And again, accentuate that bag. And then you follow the natural contour you have up here in your eye socket, because that will become very prevalent if you are sick. And then again, just follow the natural contour you have here and fade it all in. Next, I'm going to take this red lip liner I have and I'm going to use it as eyeliner in my lower lash line. And because it is such a bright red color, I'm going to go in with a bit of black over it just to darken it. Now you see how it gives more of a sickly look when you have that. Gonna pick up a bit of blue and add a bit more blue to the places I have gray, just to add a bit of dimension to these colors to make it look a little bit more realistic. But the other thing that will help sell this is I'm going to pick up some yellowish greenish shades on a big fluffy brush like this, and I'm going to very lightly like whisper it over the places I already have that gray and blue going. And don't be afraid to go everywhere with this stuff, especially like here above your brow, to kind of help everything connect so it's not just like all kept within your eyebrows. I'm also going to take this and I'm going to stamp it around my mouth so that all these things look similar. Now I'm picking up some of this green and yellow to color in here right underneath my eye because I feel like there isn't enough going on there. But I'm also going to take a big fluffy brush with a muted pink tone and I'm going to buff it out here just to accentuate again the irritated eyes. And if you feel the pink you use is a bit too much, just go over it lightly with a bit of a muted brown to blend it in with everything. This green definitely made it look a little bit undead, and I'd advise you take this down your neck as well. And you can kind of go a little bit of everywhere with this, because this is like a color that can kind of go anywhere that still looks a bit too alive to you, like here on top of your mouth and by your chin. I'm actually going to pick up my contouring palette, just pick up some colors and use it to help me look a little bit messy. Just don't go in too much that you don't see that green anymore. But here on my neck where it's green now, I'm going to use this to start shading in the regular contours you're used to seeing. Again, we want to accentuate all of these to make us look more dead. I'm first using a few blues to kind of accentuate the neck here, and then with some reds. And lastly, I'll deepen it up with some blacks, grays. The reason I'm giving you a range of colors is because in this palette, I'm just like stamping in the area with black and brown. I'm not picking up a specific thing because they're like too small for the brush. And it gives it a nice irregular feel. As long as you don't accidentally pick up anything shimmery, you should be good. So here we are, green around the mouth. Gonna try and pick up something a little bit more yellow, a little bit more pale. I'm going to go around the edges with that. Now the fluffy blending brush, we're getting a little bit more down to business. I'm making it purple around my mouth where I want that texture to come out. I'm also going to drag a tiny bit underneath. And next we're going in with pink, a bright pink actually. And this you're kind of going to just spot on. You don't want this to be too precise. But you do want to start getting this a bit onto your mouth, onto your lips. Now then next with a flat shader brush, I'm going to go in with red. And I'm going to add red here right to the outer corners so it's like attached to my mouth and bleeding out into those other colors. Now we're starting to look gross. I'm also going to pull some red and pink down here from my nose, both underneath my nose and on the side of my nose, but I'm going to leave this middle a little open. And I'm going to diffuse those edges a little bit and also put some on my actual nose. You can even work in a bit of orange with this if you want to. And then lastly, a touch of purple just to darken it a bit again. But as you can see, even though there's texture there, it's not popping. So I'm going to go in again with that red eyeliner of mine. You can also use a red lipstick. And I'm going to lightly drag it over the surface so it like only really catches on the texture and really starts bringing it out. Don't go in too heavy. Allow it to make itself irregular and keep adding it until you feel like it's red enough. Also catch the corners of your mouth there where mine are stuck together. And now I'm going to go in with a nice dark black over top of that to make it nice and gross and muggy. I added a bit with eyeshadow first, but I'm going to go in and do the same thing with my black eyeliner as I do with the red lipstick. Then again, just color in the tops of the texture so that you can start seeing it. Disgusting, as it should be. I'm actually going to pick up some yellow and I'm going to put that in the center of my lips. I also have this brown lipstick that I'm going to take and I'm going to put it in the outer corners, stamping it on messily on the outer corners, so bringing it a bit more onto my lips. And here on my bottom lips, my lips have a bit more color to them. I'm going to touch over it with my hand to make it look like it's more a part of everything. And at this point you can decide you're done. You can decide that the mouth looks messy and gross enough to you, or you can keep going because I'm gonna and I want to. I'm going in with a bit more dark brown to make it a little bit more gross, especially like underneath my mouth. I feel like it's a bit too clean here. So I'm going to make my chin nice and messy. I'm also adding a bit more red to make it look more gross again. Just going back and forth with all the colors until I feel like there's enough dimension, because every time you add a little bit more of a new color, you're adding a new layer, letting new elements bleed through. If you want, you can even go in and go pick at that lash glue you had on initially again. Don't pull it off entirely because then you're just going to show the skin underneath, but you can pull at it to create little pockets of color to change things up a little bit and just bring more of that texture through again. I'm even going to go in with a fine brush like this to add a little bit more detail. I'm going to pick up some black and I'm going to like accentuate some of the texture I have here. I'm going to alternate between black and red. Now just to create like a little bit more mess and a little bit more dimension, I'm going to mix some black, some purple, some blue, and I'm going to draw like little bits of veins here and there. It's not going to look like veins, but it's going to like add an extra element of a little something. So you just add these little lines wherever you feel like you're missing something. A nice place is like here between your eyebrows where it feels like a little clean. You can definitely create like a bit of a vein going up there. And as you can see, they're coming out like really diffused, and that is fine. They're really not supposed to look great. Another good place is here on your temples, just to fill up this space a bit more. You can also add a little bit like here on the sides of your eyes if it looks too uniform here. It just doesn't always show up too great. And a really nice spot is here under your mouth, down onto your chin. It just adds to the gross factor the mouth already has going on. And of course, your neck is your canvas to do on what you would like. Or wear a turtleneck. No one has to look at your neck. Don't overthink it. Don't complicate it. Literally just scribble down your neck. Every now and then, just look in the mirror that's a bit further away to kind of see if it's too much or not. And then stop when you're happy with what it looks like. Now, if you thought we were done, you would be mistaken. I'm going to pick up my mascara wand and I'm intentionally going to get some underneath my eye, because I'm going to assume this was a gross crying type of thing going on. And while it's still like fresh, I'm going to tap at it, smudge it a little bit. Again, make it look more messy. I'm going to go over here where I want it to be nice and gooey and disgusting, and add that shimmer factor to it to make it look like it's fresh and biological. I'm also going to add a little bit underneath my eyes because I want it to look just gross, man. Just disgusting. That's what we're going for. If you're concerned about putting lip gloss on your face, it really doesn't feel that weird. You can also drag some here down your chin, make everything more messy. I'm gonna mix a bit of a pink lipstick in with the lip gloss I put down my chin to make it look like it's gooey and running and like there's some kind of color there. And then get some sloppy red in there. And then also some brown, because we're layering to get this to look good. And lastly, tapping at it will make it look patchy, which is something you are looking for. You can even drag it down here to sell the look. And for the final touch, if you're willing to dedicate to the look, you're going to take some of your eyeliner, your liquid eyeliner, and you're going to put some here in the inner corner of your eye, like so. Do the same on both sides. And I'm taking a small brush, going to dip it in some water, and I'm going to put it on that eyeliner. And I'm just going to keep putting it on there because it's going to get runny, it's going to get gross, and then you can start kind of dragging it down and it'll look like you were crying. And because you have that lip gloss on, you already look like shiny and gross, but the eyeliner's not really going to stick to it. Which again, the grosser the better. And you can let some water just run down with this eyeliner and let it find its own path down your face. And this is the final result. Disgusting, messy looking, sick looking zombie. Now, if you want to go all the way, you can create something you can put in your mouth that's messy that you just like dribble out if you want to get that cool picture moment. You also know how to look dead, you know the whole soulless expression, letting everything just like relax and go down. Probably something skew, do the zombie. And then if you're going to have your hands in the pictures, it would probably help to go over them with some greenish, grayish colors as well, because they look very alive compared to my face. The one thing I was hoping for is that the pieces here on the edges of my lips would like stretch and I'd have like strings, but that didn't happen, but that's okay. I will let you see this close up so you can see exactly what the texture and everything looks like. So that is what the makeup looks like, but let's look messier than that. So I'm going to let my hair down, which I need to wash in anyway, so it's gonna be messy already. And we're just gonna pull it up. Don't even worry about what you're grabbing, what you're doing. Just brush your hair in an upwards direction until it looks messy enough for you. Back comb, get it tangled, get it messy. And something I found that makes it look like even messier is if it looked like you had a ponytail at some point. So you can then like grab all this and try putting a hair tie in it and just having it be a mess like that. Or you can like somewhat split it and try and tie it, but again, don't do a good job. And then you tug at it until that hair tie is holding on by a thread. Alternatively, you can like put in pins as if your hair was actually in a nice hairstyle at some point and as if it's just absolutely been pulled apart, like so. Haphazardly throw on some sunglasses too. Put them on absolutely skew, because the world needs to know you've gone through it. But then this is the final result. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making a mess of my face. Hope the zombie is messy, gross enough, sick enough looking to you. Of course, you need to probably act the part, not be all sunshine, smiling at roses. But like I said, this is the final result. This is our SFX look for this year. Let me show you what it looks like up close so you can see what the texture looks like and all that. And you can see why we did what we did. Because this really is a look that looks better in person. I don't know if everything is translating well to camera. But then like I said, I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making this. Stay tuned for one more Halloween thing after this. And then I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
I don't know about you, but I'm hungry.